Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. You lied to me, Daniel. My voice cracked the silence like glass shattering on marble floors. Heads turned. Clients froze mid-conversation, their spa robes half-tied, cucumber slices slipping from shocked faces. But I didn't care. I stood in the middle of his brand-new luxury spa, the one he supposedly built from the ground up for our future, while he stood across from me, looking pale, busted, and silent. I gave you everything I had, I seethed, stepping forward. My savings, Daniel. I trusted you. I believed in your dream. And this is what you do? Open a spa with her? Her. Samantha slinked out from behind the reception desk like the snake she was, hips swaying in that skin-tight silk set that was definitely not part of any work uniform. Her manicured hand rested on Daniel's shoulder like she owned him, and the spa, and the truth. I locked eyes with her, and I swear, she smiled. Not wide. Just enough to let me know, she won. Oh, don't be dramatic, she said smoothly, tossing her platinum hair behind her shoulder. You always overreact. It's not like he spent your money on me. He did. I screamed, my chest heaving. That was my money. Every single dollar I saved for 5 years, every lunch I skipped, every raise I put away instead of celebrating, I gave it to him to build something real. Not this bougie betrayal temple. Daniel stepped forward, holding up a hand like he was the victim. Will you just calm down, please? This isn't the place. No, Daniel. This is exactly the place, I snapped, eyes burning. This is where you've been sneaking off to. This is where my money went. This is where my marriage ended. Clients began gathering toward the back hallways, whispering behind their hands, pretending to look at brochures. Even the guy handing out hot towels froze like a statue. I gave up everything to support you, I said, quieter now, but deadlier. I defended you when your family said you were a failure. I backed you when your credit was garbage. I paid off your last failed idea so you wouldn't lose your name, and this was your thank you? Daniel looked cornered. Not sorry. Not even surprised. Just caught. I didn't plan for it to happen like this, he muttered. I laughed. A sharp, bitter, broken laugh. Oh, so it just happened that you used my money to impress your ex? It just happened that you're giving her keys to the place you told me we would open together? First of all, Samantha cut in, raising her voice, I invested, too. Shut up. I turned on her so fast she actually stepped back. You're not even supposed to be here, Sam. You're the reason we almost divorced 3 years ago. Remember that little harmless friendship you two had? Guess it wasn't so harmless. Daniel flinched. Samantha stayed silent. You know what hurts the most? I asked, voice trembling. It's not that you stole my money. It's that you used my belief in you, my love, as a weapon. You looked me in the eye every single night and said, trust me, babe. We're in this together. But you were never building a future with me. You were building this with her. Daniel's mouth opened, then closed. His hands clenched at his sides. And then Samantha had the audacity to smirk again and mutter, well, I guess you finally found out who the real partner was. I turned, stared right at her, and said, you're right. I did find out. And now everyone else knows too. I looked at the crowd. This place? The lights? The oils and stones and stupid salt walls? This was paid for with money he took from his wife. And now he's running it with the woman he swore meant nothing. Silence. Then Daniel snapped. You don't get to ruin this for me. For you? I said, eyes wide. You already ruined it all. I just came to collect the pieces. He took a step forward, and so did I. You think this makes you a man? Lying to your wife, emptying her account behind her back, opening a spa with your ex-girlfriend while pretending to be building a family? My voice was shaking, not with fear, with fury. You're not a man, Daniel. You're a coward with a logo. And just like that, his face changed. No more pretending. No more guilt. Just that cold, calculated smugness I'd seen once before, the last time I caught him texting her. You want to know the truth? He said, loud and slow. Fine. I used your money. Because you were too scared to dream big. You were content with a desk job and meal prepping. I needed a real partner, someone who believes in more than just safe choices. Samantha gets that. She's not afraid to take risks. I stared at him, stunned. You didn't need a real partner. You needed a fool. And congratulations, Daniel. You found one, but not in me. His jaw locked. But I wasn't done. I'll see you in court, I said calmly, finally. Daniel laughed. Good luck proving anything. Oh, I don't need luck, I said, lifting my phone and stopping the recording. I've got this entire conversation, and all our bank statements. Remember the joint account you forgot to delete? His face drained of color. And I turned, heels clicking on marble, leaving him choking on his own pride, and Samantha blinking in the realization that this spa wasn't built on loyalty or love. It was built on theft. And I was done being robbed. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my chest rising and falling like I had just sprinted a marathon barefoot on broken glass. My mind kept replaying his face, the way it shifted from guilt to arrogance in a single blink. The way he stood there beside her, not even flinching when I said I had nothing left. It hit me harder than any betrayal before. He didn't just take my money. He took my peace, and handed it to a woman who used to be our problem. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash every photo we had in our house. But most of all, I wanted justice. Not just legally, emotionally. I wanted him to know what it felt like to be left gasping, empty, watching someone else live in the comfort you helped build. So I pulled out every document I had. The bank records. The emails where he begged me for help. The text messages where he promised it was our dream. I screen recorded every statement from our joint account. Every shady transaction labeled consulting or branding that ended up in her hands. And I made a vow right then. If Daniel thought he could toss me aside like some donor he no longer needed, he was about to learn what it felt like when a woman has nothing left to lose. The next morning, I showed up at his spa again. Not to fight. Not to scream. This time, I walked in wearing the very calm he once took from me. I'm here for the financial records, I told the receptionist, a sweet girl who clearly had no idea what she'd signed up for when she took the job. I don't think you're authorized to. Oh, I am, I said, sliding a folder across the counter. That's a formal request from my attorney. Since a portion of this business was funded by my personal account, I now legally have the right to audit your entire first year of operations. She blinked. Do you want me to call Mr. Thomas? No need. He'll hear from the court. And just like that, I turned and walked away again. Calm, direct, unbothered on the surface. But beneath that silence? A storm was brewing. I filed everything. Froze the joint account. I even called his mother, the one who used to praise me for keeping him grounded. I told her everything, down to the last dollar. The shock in her voice? The way it cracked into shame? That told me I wasn't the crazy one. I wasn't the bitter wife, I was the truth, finally speaking up. But the most satisfying moment came a week later. Samantha showed up at my job. Oh yes, she had the nerve. She waited outside the office building, leaning on her overpriced convertible like a cat in the sun. When I walked out, she didn't move, just slid on her sunglasses and tilted her head like she was doing me a favor by existing. Look, she started, I think this has gone far enough. I stopped in my tracks. Excuse me? You're really going to drag him through court over a few $1,000s? I laughed. Right in her face. A few thousand? Try 65,000. And that wasn't just money. Sweetheart, that was my future. That was my trust. Something you clearly don't know how to spell, let alone respect. She smirked. You're just mad he chose me. No, I said calmly. I'm mad that he pretended he chose me while building a life with you behind my back. I'm mad that I worked double shifts while he was out shopping for eucalyptus-scented betrayal. But mostly? I'm mad that women like you walk around thinking they're untouchable because they've got a man and a facial. She rolled her eyes. What do you even want? I stepped closer, lowered my voice to a whisper. I want you to lose sleep the way I did. I want you to question whether every luxury around you is one court order away from being repossessed. I want you to feel the tension that comes with knowing your little empire was built on a foundation of fraud. She stepped back. You're insane. No. I'm awake. And trust me, this version of me? She's not going back to bed until she gets every cent, every apology, and every ounce of dignity he tried to bury. And I walked away again. Because this time I wasn't the one left broken. They were. They just didn't know it yet. I thought suing him would give me closure. I thought that once the papers were filed, once I stood in front of a judge and laid bare the receipts, the emails, the withdrawals, I'd feel free. But freedom doesn't come wrapped in paperwork. It comes in moments. In shattered illusions. In silence so thick, it forces truth into the room. And that moment came when he sat across from me in court. Daniel looked different. Tired. Pale. Like the weight of pretending had finally crushed his posture. He used to walk into rooms like he owned the oxygen. Today, he looked like he was borrowing his next breath. The judge asked me to speak first. I stood up slowly. My hands weren't shaking. Not anymore. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't asking for permission, I was telling my story. Your Honor, I began, voice calm but sharp enough to cut through the air, I'm not here because a man broke my heart. I'm here because he broke a promise. He came to me desperate, scared, with a business plan and a dream. He said he needed a partner. He said we'd build it together. I gave him everything. My savings. My time. My trust. And while I was packing his lunches and staying late at my job to make up for what he couldn't earn, he was building a spa, with her. I heard a gasp behind me. Maybe his mother. Maybe someone who had believed in him the way I once had. Daniel didn't look up. I turned toward him now, locking eyes. You didn't just steal my money. You stole my belief in you. And the worst part? You never even apologized. You just replaced me. He tried to speak after that. Said I misunderstood the timeline, said I was being emotional, said I should be proud of what we created. Created? He really stood there and called his betrayal a creation? I almost laughed. But I didn't. Because the truth was louder than anything he could say. My attorney handed over the evidence. Transaction dates, emails sent from our shared laptop, even the trademark documents filed under his name, but my money. The judge didn't need long. By the end of the day, Daniel was ordered to repay me everything, with interest. The business was now under investigation for tax discrepancies. And Samantha? She was named in the civil fraud suit. Apparently, flaunting luxury on Instagram while pretending to be a silent partner isn't as silent as she thought. But here's the part no one tells you. Winning doesn't feel like a parade. It feels like sitting in your car after court, staring at the steering wheel, and wondering why your hands still feel so empty. Because yes, I got my money back, but I'll never get back the woman I was before the betrayal. I'll never unhear the lies, unfeel the doubt, unknow what it's like to love someone who can look you in the face while stabbing your back. And maybe that's okay. Maybe losing that version of myself was necessary. Maybe she was too forgiving. Too hopeful. Too willing to carry someone who was already running toward someone. That night, I walked past the spa. They had changed the name, scrubbed the signage. But the rot was still there. I could feel it in the walls. A building can't thrive on lies, no matter how much eucalyptus oil you pump through the vents. And as I stood there, a woman walked out. She looked tired. Overworked. Probably an employee. She looked at me and paused. "You okay?" she asked, noticing how long I'd been staring. I nodded. "Yeah. Just, remembering what this place used to mean." She tilted her head. "You helped start this?" I smiled softly. "You could say that." And I walked away. Because the truth was, I didn't need revenge anymore. I had something far more powerful. Closure. And the knowledge that even if he'd taken my savings, I'd reclaimed my worth. It happened on a Wednesday. Isn't it funny? You brace yourself for the apology on a dramatic night, thunderstorm, moonlight, maybe some tragic background music playing from the heavens. But no. It was Wednesday. Sunny. Ordinary. I was folding laundry in the living room when I heard a knock on the door. I knew. I don't know how, maybe it was the weight in that knock. Maybe it was the way the air shifted, like the universe paused for a second just to say, "You ready?" I opened the door and there he was. Daniel. Thinner. Hollow. Like regret had been feeding off him. His voice cracked before he even said my name. "I didn't know where else to go," he said. I crossed my arms, not letting him inside. "That's funny. You had plenty of places to go when you left." He blinked. Swallowed. He wasn't used to this version of me, the one who wasn't bending, wasn't crying, wasn't begging for scraps of kindness. "Samantha's gone," he said. My eyebrows lifted slightly. "Oh. So now you're here?" He nodded slowly, eyes glued to the floor like a boy caught stealing. "She took everything. Maxed out the cards. Emptied the accounts. Said the spa wasn't enough anymore. That I wasn't enough." I let the silence stretch. "Do you want me to feel bad for you?" I asked, deadpan. No, his voice was small. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For what I did. To you." Now he looked at me. Really looked. "You didn't deserve any of it. You believed in me. When no one else did. And I threw it all away for a fantasy." I felt my jaw clench. "Daniel, you didn't throw it away for a fantasy. You threw it away because you wanted someone who let you feel big while doing the bare minimum. You didn't want a partner, you wanted a cheerleader who didn't ask questions." He stepped closer. "I know. And I was wrong. You were right. About everything. I didn't realize how much you held me together until everything fell apart." I stood still, letting his words hang in the space between us like a fragile thread. Then I opened the door wider. He looked up, hopeful. I pointed at the mat. "Kneel." "What?" he asked, confused. "You said you came to apologize. So kneel. Own it." And he did. He dropped to his knees, on the same welcome mat he used to step over like he owned the place. And in that moment, he looked so small, so completely human, I could barely recognize the man I once married. But even as he knelt, I didn't feel triumph. I felt clarity. "You want forgiveness," I said quietly, "but forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. I forgive you, Daniel. I really do. But I don't want you back. Because I've rebuilt myself since you broke me. And I don't trust you not to do it again." He nodded. Eyes glossy. But he didn't argue. He knew. "I don't have a place to stay," he whispered. I reached behind the door and handed him a folded slip of paper. A list of shelters and support programs. I'd printed it months ago. Maybe deep down I always knew this day would come. He took it. looked at me like I'd handed him a piece of his dignity back. And then he stood up, nodded once, and walked away. No more words. Just the sound of healing slamming the door shut behind him. I didn't see her again for months. After Daniel left, it was like the universe clicked back into balance. I started sleeping better. Laughing deeper. Walking lighter. There was something powerful about living in truth, about no longer carrying the weight of someone else's lies. But fate? Oh, it always circles back. Especially when someone thinks they got away with everything. It was a fundraiser gala, high-end, classy, expensive. I wasn't there by accident. Since Daniel's betrayal, I'd taken a job with a local investment group. At first, just admin stuff. But then I pitched an idea. A business plan. A proposal for a wellness brand owned by women, for women. They loved it. Now I was co-founder. Investor. Partner. And the gala was ours. That night, I wore red. Not just any red, a statement. The kind of red that doesn't whisper "look at me." It demands it. The kind that says, "I don't need revenge, I am the reminder." And that's when I saw her. Samantha. Hair shorter. Skin pale. She was alone, clinging to a champagne flute like it was the last thing she had to her name. I didn't approach her. I didn't have to. She saw me. And her eyes widened. Because on the giant screens lining the gala walls, our new campaign played on loop, Reclaim, the wellness spa for women by women, empowering survivors of betrayal, burnout, and heartbreak. And there I was, my face, my voice, my story, speaking to a room of supporters who believed in it. She walked over, slow. Like her heels were made of guilt. "Well, look at you," she said, forcing a smirk. "Guess you landed on your feet." I smiled politely. "I didn't land. I climbed." She scoffed, trying to act unfazed. "Must be nice, having someone else clean up your mess." That's when I leaned in, soft but firm. "No one cleaned up anything. I rebuilt from nothing, after you two drained everything I had. You thought you destroyed me. But all you did was strip away the dead weight." Her mouth twitched. "And for the record," I added, "you didn't just lose him. You lost access to me. To the woman who would have helped you. Welcomed you. Lifted you." Now her voice cracked. "They shut the spa down." "I know," I said. "Code violations. Unpaid taxes. Lawsuits from ex-employees. Word gets around when your name's attached to every burning bridge." She swallowed hard. Her pride was deflating right in front of me. "But I've got to admit," I said, lifting my glass, "you were right about one thing." She tilted her head. "That spa idea? It really could have gone far. Just, not with you. Or him. It needed someone who understood loyalty. And vision. And how to build something without stealing it first." She didn't reply. Couldn't. I didn't need her to. I walked away. Not out of pettiness, but because closure doesn't come from watching someone fall. It comes from knowing you rose, without them. As I stepped onto the stage that night to give my closing remarks, I looked out at a sea of women, many of them nodding with tears in their eyes. They didn't know all the details. But they knew the feeling of being underestimated, used, broken. And they saw something else too. Hope. Because there I stood, not as someone who lost everything, but as someone who reclaimed it. And this time? It was all mine.